everyone. I have a special announcement. As you know, I want to thank you for coming to our Senior Expo today. I'm Wendi Thomas, the state rep from the 178th. And last year, when I was out campaigning, I've talked to a few of you about this. I was knocking on doors and I met many of you. But I also met a couple seniors who actually were really distressed. One woman in particular was in tears because she was concerned about being taxed out of her house. Her spouse had passed away and she was on her own and she was trying to meet her property tax bill. And she was very, very upset and concerned about it. So I talked to a few of you that I had talked to Senator Tommy Tomlinson about this issue, and he and this gentleman to my left here, State Representative Frank Farry, had been working on a bill that would freeze property tax increase for seniors over 65. And yes, yay. So Representative Farry and I have been working on it, and since Representative Farry had been working on it a little longer than me, I'm going to let him introduce and give you a little bit of information about the bill.
Thank you, Wendi. Can we get a round of applause for Representative Thomas for putting this great fair together? For those I haven't met before, I'm the state representative that covers Southampton, Lower Southampton, most of Middletown Township, and Langhorne. So I'm just to the south of here. Wendy's doing a fantastic job in Harrisburg. We actually share a suite up there. So as we talk about legislative ideas, she brought up the property tax freeze for seniors, and I said, well, we're already in process. So next week we'll be formally introducing the legislation. One of the things we encounter in Pennsylvania is under our Constitution, people have to be taxed equitably. That's why we don't have sliding scale income taxes like the federal government. We just have a flat income tax. The same thing would apply to property tax relief for seniors. So what our legislation does is it creates a local option for local governments, school districts, municipalities, counties to enact a freeze for seniors. There's standards that have to be met. You have to be the property owner, you have to be 65 or older, you have to be paying property taxes in the Commonwealth for 5 years, but you could still move from town A to town B, and as long as you paid for 5 years, that freeze would move with you. And one of the things we have here in Bucks County is because we have such high property taxes, and anytime you're working on a piece of legislation that is statewide, you have to factor the property taxes and the impacts in rural Pennsylvania, in urban Pennsylvania, and in suburban Pennsylvania. So one of the components we added that hasn't been in previous renditions of the bill is that if there's an income threshold of $65,000, which is pretty standard, but also if your property taxes are 10% of your income. So for those seniors who may still have a decent pension coming in, for example, but are facing property taxes of $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, and they're just living in the same home they raised their family in, they would still be able to take advantage of this program. So we're going to be introducing this bill next week. We're hopeful that we'll get a lot of support from both our Republican and Democrat colleagues and from across the Commonwealth, and hopefully we'll meet with great success and we'll be able to talk about this in the future, as in we have enacted this law and now it's a matter to work with our local governments to be successful. So please know Wendy's doing a great job. I hope everybody's learning a lot of good information here you're taking away from all these great vendors, and thank you for taking the time to be here today.
I'd like to thank Representative Farry. He's been a great help to me as I've served my freshman term in the State House. So thank you for coming today, and thanks for all you've done. Thank you, Frank.